Hello everybody and welcome back to another CB Show Tunes tutorial. Now today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting into Unity to learn how to be able to teleport our characters even if they have a character controller. Because I know a lot of people have been having issues with that and it's just something that needs to be answered. So it's very simple to do and very easy to do. And right now, currently, as you can see, my character that I'm running around with is actually using the character controller. In fact, it's the first-person shooter that you would get from your standard assets. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, to start with, we need to get this script wrote up. So, go down into your assets folder, you're going to find create and select a C# script. Once you have that done, give it a name, whatever you want to call it, and we're going to have a couple different settings here. So I thought, why not just make a teleportation script that's a trigger, but also has the ability to be controlled by the UI. So that's what I did. I created a header for UI settings and a header for trigger settings. At the top, we have two public transforms, one called Location 1, the other called Location 2. These are just general areas that you're going to be putting inside the world that you want to be able to travel to. Next, we have a public transform under the trigger settings, which is for our TP location. This is basically the area that we're going to be teleporting to whenever we actually travel into that trigger. Next we have a boolean, which is going to be called check for character controller, and we're going to be giving it a plugin value of transform for our target. Now why we do this is because we want to be able to check if this target is or has this component attached to it. So as you can see, I'm saying target.getComponent character controller. If that is true, then we're going to return this boolean as true. Otherwise, we're going to return this boolean as false. Now what we need to do is we're going to go down to the public voids, which allow us to actually move our character. So we have a move to location 1 and we have a move to location 2. The only difference inside this script is where we're moving to. So as you can see, location 1, location 1, location 2, location 2. And I know all this seems very complicated, but it's super simple. So let's review. We have if we check for our character controller, so we're using this boolean, and we're going to be plugging in this transform value called target to move. And just like so, now that becomes our target we are checking. Next, we're going to say, okay, if that is true, we're going to disable this character controller, then move our position, and then re-enable our character controller. Simple as that. Otherwise, we're just going to move the object. I know, very difficult, right? So once you create those two scripts or those two properties, then we can move on down to the void on trigger enter. Now this is a component which is actually very simple and super fun to be able to use almost anywhere inside of Unity. One of my favorites in all honesty. But we do the same thing here. We're just going to be checking if it has a character controller. You can use this same method up here, or you can use the method I did down here. It doesn't really matter. We run the same function, except our location that we want to travel to is our tploc.position instead. And as you can see, just like so. Alright, so now time for actually setting it up inside of Unity. So to do this, it comes down to just how you place your objects inside the world. So I'm going to go over to my scene view, and you're going to see these two different setups. So we're going to first cover the trigger setup. The trigger setup is like this. So we're going to have an example player, which is going to have pretty much a rigid body attached to it. This one is not the character controller. This is just a simple rigid body mesh. Next, we have the activation point. The activation point is going to actually have the script attached to it. We're going to leave the UI settings alone. We're not going to actually have to teleport using that, but we want to set the TP location. And this is going to be our target TP2. Now you may wonder, okay, are these things special? Do they actually have something that is unique about them? And to be honest, not so much. You can really create an empty game object just like so and use that as your reference point instead of having to have like an actual object there. As long as you have an object that has the script on it, you will be able to teleport to to another object. So that's how that script works. All you simply do, make sure you select this object with the script on it, drag the location you want, and boom, you're done. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the UI system. The UI system runs similarly to the others, so I'm going to go ahead and activate that. And while we're at it, I'm going to go ahead and disable my FPS controller. That way we don't have to worry about that. So if I go over to our game view, as you could see, we have this UI that's already set up. This UI is very, very simple. It's just a panel that I created using the HUD generator. So UI, go over to the panel and then just add in some buttons. So yeah, it's very easy. If you don't know how to do UI, just post a comment inside the comment section below and I'll be happy to explain that later. But once you get these buttons set up, this is where all the magic happens. So make sure that you do have your script put on your teleport tutorial panel. Okay? From there, you're going to need to find the location 1 and location 2. So for that, I set up these two different blocks called location 1, location 2, and our example player. So here we're just going to simply drag the location 1 there, drag the location 2 there. Now, for our buttons, we're simply going to grab both buttons. We're going to roll down and we're going to find this empty object. So I'm going to actually do that, Yeah. Okay, we're going to delete those. So, for this right here, we're going to press this plus button on the on click. We're going to see this empty space. We're going to drag our teleport script, or the object that holds our teleport script, down on top of that. Next, we're going to grab the functions. We're going to find that script and we're going to roll down to the action we want to do. So say for instance for location 1 we want to move to location 1. For location 2 we want to be able to move to location 2. Now as you can see we still have this empty transform. This is the object that we want to move, so we're going to simply grab both of those buttons, find the example player, and then drag and drop them in there. So once we hit Control S, we hit play, and now we're going to be able to move these objects. So as you can see, our character is now moving just like so. And you can also see that this character is moving there. Now keep in mind that if you do have, say for instance, this, let me roll up and get that. Okay. If you do happen to have this way too high, what is going to happen is your character is going to, say for instance, slip through the roof. And that's not something that we want. So make sure that whenever you have your location that you want to teleport the character to, that it is not too high. So as you can see, if I run into this right here, we teleport to the proper spot. If I run into here, we teleport above the proper spot. So just keep that in mind whenever you are setting this up. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, check out some of my other videos, and I'll see you guys next time.